Hey everyone, it's Cory McCarthy and welcome to another live weekly Q&A event. I'm going to shut off the sound really quick before this thing kicks off and starts blasting. There we go. Perfect. Alrighty then, let's get this started. So welcome to another Sunday Q&A event, and for all my new viewers, I do these every Sunday, usually between 2 and 3 p.m. Eastern time, US. So just to give you some sense of when we kick these off, but it's every Sunday. So because I know I got a lot of new viewers to the channel now. So let's get started. First question. Best way to dry out tofu. I don't dry out my tofu. I mean, you could just conceivably open the carton and let it sit out in the air, but it is perishable. I think a lot of people, what they do is they'll freeze it. And then when they pull it out of the freezer, I'm assuming you're saying this because you would like to cook with it. Usually it fries better when you have it when you freeze it first and pull it out. For some reason, it fries better. But yeah, I don't actually dry out my tofu. I don't even put it in the freezer either. I just leave it in the refrigerator, and then I just saute it when I want to use it. What do you think about a diet based around potatoes? As long as I'm getting enough fat as well. Well, you're gonna have to eat a fuckload of potatoes to get the ample. It depends on your goals, really, but you're gonna have to eat a fuckload of potatoes to get the amount of protein that you're gonna need per day. You could become deficient in vitamins and minerals that aren't found in potatoes, so you're gonna want to get a multivitamin. I mean, it's a very restrictive diet. My question to you is why? Why? It's like, it sounds like a fad diet. Why would you do that? How many grams of fat while on keto? Typically speaking, 55 to 60% of your calorie intake typically comes from fat in a ketogenic diet. Am I late? Have we started yet? We just started right now. Bill Clinton eats salmon once a week to maintain muscle mass. Do you think he needs it? No. There's nothing in animal protein. You don't need animal protein to maintain muscle mass. If you're getting enough protein from plant sources, you'll maintain and grow just fine. Cory, I've been getting hungry when I do intermittent fasting. Do I need to just get used to it? Frankly, yes. It is a difficult process. Now, I'm imagining you're a girl, given your name is Daisy Summer Love. Maybe I'm wrong here, but I would imagine perhaps you're a female. I think because you've been viewing my videos for a while. I wouldn't really fast for longer than 12 hours as a girl. Men can get away with up to 14, 16 hours, but women, I've read, I have to find the citations for it, but I've read that it can impede hormones, feminine hormones. So you might find that you'll do better at 12 hours, but even still, getting used to a fast like that can be difficult for me. It took about the better part of a week to build my way up from like first to 12 hours. Then, that was actually relatively easy going to 12 hours, but it became a little bit more difficult trying to get the 14 to the 16. And then when I finally hit 16 and I was doing it semi-comfortably, I still had those pangs, those hunger pangs. I had to get used to it. So what my advice would be is to use coffee. Believe it or not, coffee is actually it's an appetite suppressant. You might find that coffee helps you get through the fast. Now, since you're fasting, keep it black coffee. So, but that might help you get through the fast. It sure as hell helps me. And yes, coffee is a noted appetite suppressant, so that can help. Have you ever tried to convince your family to go vegan? Yeah, not convince in a sort of bullying sort of way, but I definitely have tried to lead by example. I've tried to open conversation by them seeing my meals. Like, for instance, when I would visit for Christmas or over the Thanksgiving date range, I would make my vegan meals in front of them, and they would ask questions about it, but they still never took the plunge. My mother is on a relatively low meat diet compared to what she used to eat, mostly on doctor's orders, but she's not fully vegan or even vegetarian. So somebody asked, I might go to New York City next year. What's the best vegan restaurant out there? It's a real tough question. New York City is just like Los Angeles or London or San Francisco or any of these major cities, you have so many freaking vegan options. It's hard for me to even just name one. But one of my favorite locations is Angelica Kitchen. It's like a not really raw, but they have raw options. But it is a organic vegan restaurant that, in my opinion, has a really romantic sort of atmosphere. So it's really good for bringing, you know, a date to. It's also good if you want to get a good meal too, because it's a nice restaurant. But the atmosphere is incredibly romantic. At least the last time I went. I don't do restaurants all too often, but it depends on what you're looking for. If you want good donuts, I highly recommend Cinnamon Snail, which is not so much a restaurant, but a fast food chain, so to speak. Two Boots makes really good vegan pizza. In fact, the best damn vegan pizza I've ever had is at Two Boots. And I think they're located in more than just New York, though, but they have them in New York here. Loving Hut is great. Again, a little more fast foodish. But it's sit down in some locations. Like in London, there's a number of sit down Loving Huts. Yeah, New York has got so many freaking options, and there's new ones opening all the time. So really, if I were you, I would Google and look at like Yelp reviews. And there's a Facebook group called Vegans of New York. You might check with them and see what they recommend, because they're all New York-based vegans in there. And they also do meetups too. So you might be in the city at a time when they're doing a meetup, and you might be able to go have a large dinner with a bunch of vegans. So and meet new people that way. Do I watch Impractical Jokers? No, never heard of it. If it's something on television, I don't have television. I haven't had television since 2007. Anything that I watch has to be either on Netflix or streamed in some capacity online, or on DVD. I haven't had television for a long time. Should ashwagandha be used daily, only to recover from injuries? You can use ashwagandha in a maintenance type style for a while. It is an herb, so you might find that if the effects don't seem to be working for you anymore, you might take, you know, a few weeks to a month off. Like, let's say you've been on for 8 weeks, you might try cycling off for a month and then come back to it again and see if your body recognize it responds to it again, I guess is the word I was looking for. You might try that with ashwagandha. I think with any herb that can happen, your body can get used to it. But I really only use ashwagandha when I'm going through periods of stress, like some kind of life stress, or I'm having trouble sleeping or whatever. I will use ashwagandha for those periods of time, because it's really, really good for that shit. But it's also, as I showed in my recent video, really good for female sexual satisfaction. So guys, the reason why I made that video, and I want men to watch it too, is because you got a girlfriend, you got a wife, you want her to be sexually satisfied. So why not get her on some ashwagandha and have her appreciate your sex life together a lot more. Moving along. What's the best way to shave, against the grain or away? Which is the best vegan shaving cream and after cream? Need your expertise. Keep the good work, Cory. I shave with the grain, although sometimes I will go against the grain if I get pissed. Like if I'm shaving and there's like a little area that just will not shave properly, I'll go against the grain just to fight that area off. I actually have a couple shaving nicks in my face right now from this morning. A razor I probably should have changed out. But sometimes I just don't change out my razor, and like I'll have it for a couple weeks, and you know, the razor will get a little bit dull, but I'll push through anyway. It all depends on how many razor heads I have on hand as well, and I don't feel like going out. But to answer your question about shaving cream, I don't use shaving cream. I use like my soaps, like one of my bar soaps, and I'll lather it up with warm water over my face and shave that way. I just prefer that. And as for aftershave, I don't use aftershave. What I tend to do is I tend to moisturize afterwards. So I'll rinse my face off, might even do it in the shower, clean my face, perhaps like use some cleansers or whatever. And then I'll, once it's kind of dry, I'll use a moisturizer over my entire face. I don't use aftershave. Especially if it's alcohol-based products, I wouldn't use it because it can dry your skin out, and that can lead to signs of aging. What do you normally drink with your food? Water, almost exclusively. Almost all I drink all day is water, with the exception of usually a glass of coffee in the morning, like about 16 ounces of black coffee. And sometimes I'll make some tea. Like if I'm feeling sick, like if I have a cold or something coming on, I will load the fuck up on like mint teas or licorice tea. I love licorice tea. It's really, really just has a sweet taste without adding any carbohydrates or calories to your diet. Do you know if there's a vegan or cruelty-free pomade? Yes, actually, there are a number of them. Giovanni, the brand Giovanni makes one. Whole Foods Market has a number of pomades. Look in the back; it will have it listed on the label. It'll list it as like, you know, not just on animals, no animal ingredients, etc. Whole Foods does have some, at least here in New York they do. I don't know if they stock the same things nationwide. I've noticed that some Whole Foods have things that other Whole Foods don't. And I've even shockingly seen that some Whole Foods in like places like Virginia and Maryland have, you know, Kellogg's brand cereal in stock, which is, in my opinion, kind of against what Whole Foods stands for. Those bigger brands like that. So, you know, I think that it does vary from store to store. So I would, you know, they always have like a, what do they call it? The whole body section. They always have a whole body employee there. Tell them what your needs are. They should be well versed in that and be able to help you locate a good pomade. Let's see here. What was the last time you ate non-vegan food by accident? Never happened. I'm very, 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 very careful. If it would have happened at all, it might have been when I first went vegan. But you have to keep in mind, I had been vegetarian since 2002. Before I ever went vegan. I was vegan in 2013 is when I went vegan. So I had been vegetarian for like 11 years up before I went vegan. So reading labels was like second nature to me at that point in time. You know, weeding out things like gelatin, etc. So all I really did was expand my search to weed out, you know, dairy and eggs and things like that. So it just kind of expanded my search a bit. But I was so used to it already that I, you know, didn't even, it wasn't that much difficult, you know, or different than what I had been doing. Keep in mind, nowadays, a lot of products that are vegan will have that vegan label on it. So you don't have to even bother reading through the ingredients if you don't want to, because they'll have a certified vegan label on it, especially in places like Whole Foods, possibly in places like Trader Joe's. So sometimes it makes it easier to see the vegan labeling. But worst case scenario, just read the ingredients. Have I watched Clarence Zero yet? Actually, Clarence Zero commented on my channel and said that he likes my work. And he actually found it funny that I didn't know that he was a YouTuber. So I'm going to have to watch his stuff. I feel so bad. You know, I have a guy who's watching my channel who's even got a bigger channel than me. And I didn't know who he was. But to be honest with you, I kind of live in a little bubble in some ways. I don't really watch a lot of YouTube outside of very specific habitual channels like Vegan Gains. So, you know, and Golden One and things like that. So I don't really, I'm not too exploratory, I guess, on YouTube. And it comes down to just not having a lot of time. I don't have a lot of time. I do so much between making videos for you guys, these weekly Q&As, the Vegan Muscle Academy. As I told you guys last week, I'm working on ebooks right now. The arm training ebook is fucking fantastic, and I can't wait to get this out to you guys. I'm actually so excited about it because it just feels so amazing. The training is so good. But I'm working on that. So I got so much happening in my life that it's hard for me to have time to really watch a lot of YouTube for long periods of time. But yeah, I gotta check out Clarence. Let's see, what else is there here? Somebody's responding to Charlie the Greaser about Google Old Dudes pomade. It's a high quality and it's oh, it isn't vegan. He says it's got beeswax. But yeah, you can find vegan pomades. They do exist. Whole Foods Market does sell them. What are my macros? Proteins, fats, and carbs per day. I know you aim for about 2,000 calories. Is that low for a bodybuilder? I don't aim for 2,000 calories, generally speaking. It all depends on what I'm doing. Right now, I'm cutting down, so my calories are currently about 2,100, according to my meal sheet. And I'm ketogenic, so my fat is like about 55% of that. My protein is around 1 gram per pound. And then I have a small portion that goes toward carbohydrates, looking at my sheet. So yeah. Sparkling water to suppress appetite, a good idea. Pros and cons of sparkling water. There's nothing really wrong with sparkling water. I find that the more sparkling water I drink, and I love sparkling water, the better pump I get. Maybe from the sodium content. I'm not sure. But yeah, I mean, I've got days where I've just had plain filtered water, and then days where I've had sparkling water. And the days that I've had sparkling water, especially when I'm ketogenic, that's where I really notice the difference, because I don't have carbohydrates in my system to pump myself up. I just get a better pump on days that I've had more sparkling water. I don't. It's probably the sodium content. That sodium can cause vasodilation. And that's why I add a little salt to my pre-workout drink, my post-workout, and my intra-workout drink. Just a pinch of salt in each one. Not enough to dehydrate me, but just a pinch, because it can dilate my blood vessels. It does seem to dilate my blood vessels. So, but yeah, I love sparkling water. I don't know if there's any necessarily bad effects from drinking it. And the sodium that's in it's not that high. It's just a tiny, tiny bit. But yeah, I don't know about suppressing appetite, but drinking can definitely make you feel fuller because you're filling up with liquid. But coffee is an appetite suppressant. That does work as an appetite suppressant. Champs Diner is the best place in New York. I don't know. I've never tried Champs. If I supplement a multivitamin, should I still supplement B12? You might as well. Sometimes the multivitamins can be kind of lower dosed. So I definitely do both. I have a multi with B12, and then I have a sublingual liquid that I take every morning and hold for 30 seconds. That is a B12. It offers like some ridiculous amount. It's like 6,167% of my, or is it 66,000? It's something absurd of my daily recommended intake of B12 in one serving. And because it's water soluble, you just piss the rest out. So it's actually one of those vitamins that I'd rather overdose on than not get enough of. Do you take D3? And if yes, together with K? I take my D3 with my meals. Yes, I take it with 2 different meals during the day. And I take it with meals that contain a decent amount of fat. So typically that will be my first and my final meal. Because it is fat soluble, so it uptakes better. I take my K vitamin supplement in the morning, well, in the first meal, so not really morning, it's more like early afternoon. But I'll take my K vitamin supplement with my first meal. That does consequently coincide with my D3 supplementation timing. Janice Hetrick says, hi, Cory. Hi, back to you. My favorite vegan YouTuber. Well, thank you. I try, you know, but I try. Thank you, though. Let's see here. I'm a freshman in engineering, and I've thought about changing to a degree in nutrition because it's something that I really love. Do you think I would make a difference as a vegan, or would it be worth it? Wouldn't it be worth it? It really depends on your mode of delivery. I mean, you can get a degree in nutrition and then only serve vegans if you want to. Start a vegan nutrition business. Start a YouTube channel. Now, granted, there's not a whole hell of a lot of money in YouTube. I mean, unless you're a guy like PewDiePie or something who has like millions or even hundreds of thousands of subscribers, there's not, I'm just going to be honest with you guys, there's not a lot of money in YouTube. So anyone who thinks that we're making money from YouTube, it's like, it's a labor of love for a lot of us. Certainly is a labor of love for me. You know, I do these videos because I know people are going to get something out of it, and it's fun. I like talking about this shit. You know, this stuff interests me. So it's like a mode for me to deliver things that interest me to everybody else who might benefit from it. But yeah, you know, you might try that. That could be a way for you to promote your nutrition business if you have one. YouTube is a great promotional tool, as are most social media platforms. But yeah, I mean, that's one way you could do it, or you could be a general nutritionist and try to persuade people towards a vegan direction. You know, and I think that every person who goes vegan is making a difference because you're saving a lot of animal lives. It may not stop other people from eating meat or eating animal products, but you aren't contributing. It comes down to the principle of the matter. You have to be a principled person. If you don't believe in commodifying animals, you know, even if you yourself aren't making a drastic difference in the world, you aren't contributing. You are a principled person, and that is virtuous. You know, that means you're sticking to your guns, you're sticking to your principles, And that's a virtue. It's a great thing to have. It's a great thing to do as a person, to have that conviction to stick to what you believe in. So I don't know if you'll change the world necessarily, but I think you can maybe change it a step at a time, make little changes that will lead to bigger changes, you know? And the thing is, you don't know what your future holds. You don't know how big you might become. You know, nobody knows where they're going to be, you know? I never suspected that my channel would get over, you know, 10,000 subscribers. I was always like, you know, when I hit 10,000, I was like, wow, you know, and even still compare me to somebody who has hundreds of thousands, I can't even fathom it. So you never know where you're going. You know, all you can do is the best you can do, promote what you believe in. And most importantly, like you said, you love nutrition. Why not do something you love for a living? Why not have passion for what you do? Because that will inspire people. Passion is contagious. Thoughts on monk fruit as a sweetener? I know a guy who uses monk fruit as a sweetener, but I've never used it as a sweetener. I use stevia, you know, occasionally I'll use stevia. I don't use it all the time because I don't really care much for, I mean, I don't really have a need to overly sweeten things anyway, but I've heard it's fine, but I've never experienced it, so I don't even know what it tastes like. Is it because stevia has sort of an afterish taste. I guess if you don't mind licorice, stevia is kind of comparable to licorice, but I don't know if monk fruit tastes like something or not. I don't know. One of my favorite pump supplements, I heard about beetroot powder. I love beetroot powder. Anybody who watches this channel will probably know that I'm obsessed with beetroot powder. It started as an experiment. I was like, oh, you know, I don't know what's going to go on, what's going to happen with this. I'll just give it a go. And then, like, it was so fucking awesome that I've replaced my coffee intake pre-workout with beetroot powder. It's just, the vascularity is significant. I feel clean energy. Really, it's about the vascularity and the clean energy. Now, there's research to show that you can, there's strength improvements too, but I can't really say that I noticed any significant strength improvements with beetroot powder. But the vascularity is fucking sick. It's fucking sick. It's because of all those nitrates. It's just, even on keto, when I'm carb free and I'm depleted as hell by the end of the week, I can get some serious pumps with beetroot powder. But also, I stack in arginine and I stack in citrulline, both of which are good at creating a pump also. And I'll mix that with beetroot powder. I won't put it together because it tastes like shit if you do that. But I'll have the beetroot powder first, and then I'll have a second drink after with like arginine AKG and citrulline malate. And I'll have that drink, and they are precursors to nitric oxide production in the body. So there's a potentiation effect. Doesn't mean it's going to convert, but there's a potential there. So I do take it, and I do notice that I get better pumps, especially when I'm keto, when I have all three of those things. So I hope that answers your question. I've just gotten into a keto state, and I'm thinking about my first carb refeed this Saturday. Is there a specific time frame I should go with, and how much food can I eat without going out of keto? You will go out of keto. Just letting you know that you will, but you'll fall back in faster. You'll fall back in faster. But stick to about, I'd say, 6 to 8 hours of a refeed. Don't stuff yourself. What I mean is 6 to 8 hours where you're full, rest for like an hour, maybe 2 hours, have some more till you're full. It's going to get decreasing. It's going to decrease throughout the evening how much you can actually have before you start to feel full. Like my first load up, when I kick off usually around 4 p.m., I can usually down a fuckload of carbs. But then it's like a lot less the next one, even a lot less the next one. And by the end of the night, I'm like, well, fuck it, I don't even want to eat carbs anymore. I actually feel tired of eating carbs. So I'll do that for like 6 to 8 hours. So like from 4 to 12 or 4 to 10. And that's how I do it. And then I'll go back to my keto diet the next day. And because you've already adapted to keto, you will get knocked out of keto and cyclic keto. You will be, but you'll be able to get back into keto that much faster. That's how it seems to work. And cyclic keto is a thing. It's not just something I've invented. It's a thing. It actually exists. Hammering Hank says, hi, everyone. Hey, Hammering. Let's see here. What was my bench when I started lifting? It was terrible. if I don't remember what the exact number was, but I couldn't even put 2 35-pound plates on either side. I mean, not for very many reps, at least. I think maybe I got like 8 reps with that or something. So keep in mind, bench has always been one of my worst lifts. I'm better with deadlift. I'm all right with squat, but I'm better with deadlift than I am with bench. I just have a better pulling power than pushing power, in my opinion. I always have. And I think the reason for that is because I have really fucking long arms. I'm 6 feet tall. I have long arms. You know, they're not so long that I look goofy or lanky, but they're longer arms, I think, than most people, than what some people possess. So I've noticed the people who tend to bench better are those with smaller leverages, so they push through less range of motion. I have a larger range of motion to push through as a taller guy with longer arms. So my bench has always been shittier than what I'd want it to be. But hey, you work with how you're built. You work with your genetics. You make the best of it. And understand there's always going to be something that you'll be gifted at that will outshine other things and even outshine other people. Just make the best of your body. Bodybuilding and any sport really is, unless you're in competitive sports, I guess, where you know your function has to work with the team for a goal. But if you're just looking to improve yourself, bodybuilding's great because it's self-improvement. It really is. And you're only working with yourself and working against yourself to improve yourself. It seems kind of like an oxymoron, but you're challenging yourself to improve yourself. So it's not really something you need to worry about, like what guy X, Y, and Z can do compared to you. That's why I hate sharing. I don't really see the point in people sharing their lifts unless they're just proud of their lift. Because there's going to be always somebody that's like, oh, I don't like that lift. I lift more than that. It's like, well, that's great, but you know, you're not this person. So that's how I look at it. It's an individual thing. Have I ever seen Main Street Vegan? I've never even heard of Main Street Vegan. See here. Thoughts on 5x5 workouts? They're excellent. They're excellent. That's that perfect range for building strength and size. Strength because of the lower reps. Size because of the sheer volume you're doing. 5x5 is enough cumulative volume to grow, you know, and you're doing it with heavier weight, which facilitates strength. So it's actually a really good, like, kind of a middle ground for the two. How long has this been going on? About 20 minutes, 30 minutes almost. What do you make of veggie meats? I got the kielbasa one. It's good. I fried up some knackwursts. I'm not really sure what a knackwurst is. It sounds like some kind of a sausage. Veggie meats are awesome. I use Beyond Meat brand, those little chicken strips by Beyond Meat. I've also tried the Beyond Meat Beyond Burger, which has been out for a little bit of time now. I've been meaning to do a review of that. I actually got the footage for it, but I haven't put it together yet because I have other things I've been putting priority on. I've done the Gardein brand chicken patties. I've had Tofurkey products, but I limit a lot of my gluten intake because it gives me a stomach upset. And yeah, I like the Tofurkey sausages. They're awesome. But again, I limit them because they're based on wheat gluten, and my stomach will go in the knots when I eat that. So yeah, I mean, I don't have a problem with them. I don't make them the centerpiece of my diet, but I do incorporate them if they help my macro intake out. Can you be plant-based if you eat soy? Well, why not? Soy is a plant-based protein source. What do you think is better, soy milk or almond milk? It's all about personal taste. I'm not a big fan of almond milk. I like soy milk, rice milk, and coconut milk. If I'm baking, I tend to go with rice milk. If I'm just drinking it for fun, because I want to drink some plant milk, I go with coconut milk a lot of the time because I like the creamy. Coconut milk is also awesome in coffee if you want to put some in coffee. It's fantastic in coffee. But I also use soy milk too, like interchangeably with coconut milk. But I prefer the creaminess of coconut milk over soy milk. But soy milk has that massive protein content. So if you're looking for a high protein plant milk, go soy. I don't drink coffee anymore either. It makes my pee smell strong. I've never had that problem with coffee, but Okay, fair enough. If you have that problem, then avoid it, I suppose. Have you ever participated in vegan animal rights street activism? To be perfectly honest with you, I'm an introvert. I don't tend to get out to large crowded events all too often. There's been all these, look, vegan, for give you an example, Vegans of New York is a Facebook group that has been active for at least probably about a year or 2 years now. And they have had frequent social meetups with a bunch of vegans, like 20 or more vegans will go to these dinners or screenings of a film or something, or go bar hopping. They're actually doing a bar hopping thing soon. And they have like contests and prizes and things like that sometimes also. And they pick some great locations like rooftop bars that overlook Manhattan. I've just never gone because I'm kind of an introvert. If I go to these sort of things, they wear me out really quickly, and then I need to shut down for about a week. And I can't afford to shut down when I've got a lot to do on my plate. So I tend to avoid a lot of large social events and stick to smaller, intimate settings. Against activism, me going to these large street activism type protests is that I don't, it wears me out really quickly. However, YouTube is a form of activism. Keep in mind, you're reaching people, you're putting a message out there. And as you can see from all the trolls I've gotten, people get butthurt over it. That means you are reaching people. Look at Vegan Gains. He gets more trolls than I do. He gets so much hate in all of his videos. You're reaching people that way. So that is a form of activism. I guess do what you can do that doesn't go against the grain of who you are and would affect your life negatively. So if you're very outgoing and very extroverted, yeah, you might like getting out there, meeting people and doing these big street, you know, in your face sort of things. But if you're more of an introverted person, there are things you can do behind the scenes to make a difference. John McDougall says oils are really bad, almost as bad as saturated fats. What's your stand on oils? John McDougall also says that his diet, the Starch Solution, is the best diet for everybody. He has alluded to that in comments before, and that's bullshit, because there was a study that came out in 2014 that showed that starches specifically, there is a large percentage of the world's population that lack the amylase gene that is required to process starches optimally, and they therefore have a higher chance or risk of obesity via eating starches. So these folks should eat fruits and things if they want to get their carbohydrates. Fruits are a better choice for them. So he makes these blanket statements that I think are total shit. Now, oil it's just fat. It's pure fat. Now, that's not inherently bad. It's high in calories, but if you eat a lot of oils when you could be having avocados or coconuts or whatever, you're missing out on these peripheral nutrients that make up that you're not getting from an oil. But if it helps you hit your macros to have a tablespoon of coconut oil or olive oil on your salad or something, that isn't going to kill you either. You know, just don't, understand it's high in calories. But let's put this in perspective a little bit here. They have done research with vegan ketogenic diets that are based on that are obviously high fat, based on olive oil and other oils. And these people actually showed improvements in blood lipid levels. And loss of fat as well. So the fat you eat is not the fat you wear either. That is bullshit. That is an oversimplification of just the sense that there are higher calories in fat-containing foods. Fat is higher. It's more calorically dense. So if you overeat it, you can go into a surplus faster. But to say that fat inherently makes you fat is the most oversimplified bullshit I've ever heard. And I strongly am against that shit. So that is some straight up culty sounding shit right there. And it's against nutritional science. You need fat. You need fat. I'm not saying overdo it, but even the American Heart Association recommends between 20 and 35% of your daily maintenance needs of calories coming from fat. It's because fat is so vital to skin health, hair health, mineral absorption, brain health, vitamin absorption, testosterone levels, estrogen levels. Your body needs fat. Your body needs it. And you can become deficient in shit if you don't eat it. Because things like vitamin D, for instance, will not absorb as well. All fat-soluble vitamins will not absorb as well. And minerals, too. Is CLA vegan, of course, worth taking for health and fat loss. The research on conjugated linoleic acid is very limited. There are some studies that show a recomping effect, but I've not seen anything that really tells me or really stands out to me that makes CLA something where I would say, hey, that's great, let's jump on it. It's the same feelings that I have about HMB. HMB, which is a metabolite of leucine, it was very popular for a period of time. It still has a good deal of popularity. Some research shows that at beginners, it's really effective at building muscle. But other research shows that it's not any more effective, in, at least in advanced athletes, than taking a leucine supplement or getting enough protein per day. So and even the effects, the benefits from it, I look at them and I'm like, it's not really worth the cost, you know? So that's why I don't really recommend that. I just recommend that if you want to take a BCAA product, you'll get leucine that way as well. These fancy metabolites and things like CLA, I don't see the point in wasting your money on that. So until I see some conclusive research that shows otherwise. What do I do at a Christmas party that only has meat options? Don't eat anything, just drink. I've been forced to go to Christmas parties in the past. I fucking hate Christmas parties. I have to put that out there. I really fucking hate Christmas parties, especially when they're obligatory office Christmas parties, or or other kinds of like gatherings like that. They're just, I've had office Christmas parties in the past. They're so freaking annoying. And I just really despise them because I feel like I'm really only there to keep up appearances, and I don't really want to be there, and people are being fake and everyone's getting hammered. And I don't drink, so it makes me even more uncomfortable being around a bunch of rowdy drunks. I'm kind of a high alert person, so that came from being in the martial arts, I guess, where I perceive threats everywhere. I'm always aware of where a potential threat could be, and the last thing I want to do is be around a bunch of uncontrollable drunks that might start something, and have it be, God forbid, at a place where I could make a bad appearance for myself. So I don't really particularly care for those kinds of events. I think they're fake. I just, when I do attend any kind of party, I drink seltzer water and I mind my own business. I don't engage in the food there, and I don't expect anyone to go out of their way to make food that's for me either, because I'm not like that. I'm not that kind of person. I'll just drink seltzer water with a lime on it and socialize. Because the way I look at it is that if people want me there, they want me there for my company, and they don't need me there to be eating their food and drinking anyway. So I'm there for company. So a male of 5'9", 134 pounds. What should my macro ratio be to gain muscle and lean body mass? It's so many factors. It's really hard for me to break it down right now. It's actually calculation based. So if my Vegan Muscle Academy, for instance, I have, which is my service, my online service, which you can go to at veganmuscleacademy.com. It actually has courses that help you calculate what you need. And then you build a diet based on those calculations based on all the information I provide to you in the courses. So it actually helps you calculate step by step. And it's literally broken down to the course has like 5 or 6 segments. And I have one for recomping, one for mass gain. I have, I've done one for keto diet as well. So yeah, I mean, it's really hard to say in one sitting right now because there's a lot of factors that come into play with this. And I don't know about your metabolism either. There's going to be a degree of tweaking involved. Once you hit a starting point, you have to see how your body progresses and tweak up or tweak down the calories, which is one of the reasons I have my clients tweak their carbohydrates, because it's easier to tweak carbohydrates. Once your fat and protein is in check, it's easier to tweak carbohydrates up and down and change your diet that way by adding like a few apples or removing a few apples or something along those lines, to use an example. Tell us more about beetroot powder. Well, what do you want to really know about it? I mean, it's got a growing body of research coming from it that, in a nutshell, beetroot powder, the reason it works is beets, like spinach, contain nitrates. And nitrates can produce nitric oxide in your body. I don't know if anyone's ever noticed when it rains, specifically when it's thundering outside, when there's lightning, when there's a storm, and you can smell it in the air, you can smell of the storm, and you hear the lightning, the thunder. I get better vascularity during storms. Maybe it's just me, but I do get my veins tend to dilate during storms. Reason for that is the lightning in the atmosphere produces nitrates, and you're breathing those nitrates in, and nitrates are a precursor to nitric oxide. So beets contain nitrates. They contain naturally occurring nitrates, which will convert to nitric oxide in the body. And it's a more direct conversion than arginine or citrulline can provide. So it's really good for the pump. It's really good for enhancing your VO2 max. It's really good for there's signs of strength enhancement in their studies, but I haven't noticed it personally, but that's just my N=1. But the studies do show some strength improvement along the lines of like what creatine would provide to you, but in the beetroot instead. That's the research that I've seen on it, and there seems to be a growing body of it. So I love beetroot powder. It tastes like shit unless you find a flavored version. It tastes like crap, but I love it. I think it's great. I think the effects are great, and I don't train without it. What would you consider an adequate amount of time spent working out in a gym to see good progress? I personally love it, so I do spend a good amount of time, but I feel like I could overtrain easily. You only really need about 60 to 90 minutes tops, even 45 if you have a good workout. My workout volume is pretty high. I've worked up to a pretty high volume tolerance, so I tend to train anywhere between 27 and 30 working sets. Doesn't include my warm-ups. So I'm in the gym easily 60 to 90 minutes. On a crowded time, 90 minutes. Leg day, typically never less than 90 minutes because of how complex the body part is. So yeah, I mean, it really depends. I would say 45 to 90 minutes. I wouldn't really go over 90. There's no point. If you're going over 90, you're talking too much, or you're wasting time, or you're in the wrong gym because it's just that crowded that you can't get your work done, and you're waiting for machines more than you're training. So yeah, and then frequency is the next important thing. So even if you're training 3 days a week full body, or 4 days a week upper lower, or even 4 days a week push pull, including legs and the push and pull, or you're doing 6 days a week with push pull legs, those are all ways you can break it up, and even reduce the amount of volume per session and still get great results. Have I ever read The Watchman? Yes, I love The Watchman. I am a big fan of Rorschach. I think Rorschach is one of the best comic heroes that I've ever encountered in any comic or movie that I've ever seen. I think he's almost to the he's such an interesting character. He's almost a villain at the same time as being a hero. But if it wasn't for his morality, he would be a villain very easily, just because of his nature and the kind of his no holds barred violent approach to fighting crime. I actually think he's a lot like Batman in some ways, but Batman's a lot more tame than Rorschach, in my opinion. Rorschach is straight up brutal. Anyone who has not seen The Watchmen needs to check it out. The Watchmen is fucking awesome. The Watchmen is fucking awesome. But yeah. Is the Harris-Benedict equation an accurate method of working out maintenance calories? I'm not familiar with the Harris-Benedict equation. I'll need to look at that. My method of working out maintenance calories is actually in line with Lyle McDonald's method of working out maintenance calories. I don't know about Harris-Benedict, so I'm not really sure. But my method seems to work with my clients very successfully. So, and then we base that, of course, on once you have your maintenance worked out, you can build your deficit or build your surplus. It's a good starting point to either go up or go down from. Why is it easier to lose weight in ketosis if it's all about calories? It's not that it's easier to lose weight. It's just that it's, in my opinion, it's easier to stick to it. In my opinion. Keto isn't magical. Some people absolutely hate the way keto feels for them. But me, I find that I'm satiated and I just don't have the cravings for carbohydrates or anything when I'm ketogenic. And sometimes I have to force myself through my refeeds. Some days I don't even feel like having the refeed, but on my scheduled refeeds. But I just find that it's easier to stick to it. And if you can stick to something easier, it's gonna have a better effect because you'll stick with it and you'll get the effects from it. as opposed to just quitting something. So that adherence is so important. And that's why I like keto diet for myself personally. When will I stop doing keto? As soon as I hit my goal, my weight goal, and I'm happy with how I look, I'm going to go back on a regular maintenance diet, and I'll be eating carbohydrates again. What do you think about the Atkins diet? I don't like the Atkins diet. I'm not a fan of straight up keto. And unless you're epileptic and you need to, as a lifter, I don't like straight keto where you're just keto. I prefer having that refeed in there once a week. I feel that it helps keep your hormones from declining from being keto for too long. Do I like jasmine rice? I don't have a problem with it. I think it's good. I don't eat a lot of rice. Obviously, I'm keto right now, so I don't. But I do like jasmine rice. I had this red rice one time. I don't know what the fuck it's called. It's like from Thailand or something. I had it one time. It was really good. Had a nutty flavor. I like basmati rice. I love basmati rice because it's got a very nutty flavor. I like Indian rices a lot. Indian as in Indian, not like Native American dishes, rice dishes, if they even have rice dishes. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with what Native American cuisine is. What did you weigh when you started lifting? I had gone through, okay. When I began lifting, I had previously just been basically cardio and diet. And I was too skinny. I had weighed 159 at 6 feet tall. 159 pounds. I didn't look good. I didn't look good at all. So I started lifting weights and I increased my calories and cut back on the cardio and added more weights in place of the cardio. And my body began to shape more and look better. So I began lifting at 159 pounds. And then I built myself up from there. But there was a time, and before I started that cardio diet routine, back in like 2008 or 7 or whatever, I think it was about 2008, there was a time that I weighed a lot. Like I was a chubby teenager. When I went to college, I weighed like 215 at 6 feet tall, and I wasn't muscular one bit. I was just chubby. Somebody says, I remember trying the bench for the first time. I crushed my chest, and a big guy walked by and had to help me out, lift the whole thing up with one arm. Yeah, I never had a point where I got stuck under the bench. I did have an embarrassing situation where I got stuck on a calf raise machine. Oh, I feel so bad about this. It was one of those calf raise machines that has the lever. Okay, so what you do is I was a seated calf raise, and I lifted my knees out. I pushed the device up. I pulled out the safety, and then I just started repping. I went so far into failure. I went into failure to the point where I could not get another rep to be able to put the safety back. And I was like, oh, fuck. And I'm stuck. And the worst part is I got all this weight bearing down on my knees. And it's causing my calves to be in a permanent stretch, which is painful as fuck. And I couldn't push out of it. And because the stretch was becoming increasingly more painful, I was even having more trouble trying to push out of it. I actually had to call for a spotter on a calf machine. This was years ago, and it was so embarrassing. So now I always have my hand on the safety of the calf machine so that when I'm ready to fail, I put it over, and then I go to the last rep and let it drop onto the safety. I don't let that happen again. Lesson learned. I think we've all made silly mistakes at the gym. You know, I saw a guy crush his balls one time in the gym. It was really, I felt so sorry for him. Yeah, that was so bad. You go to the gym enough, you see the crazy stories. You see the crazy things happen. Unnatural Vegan agrees that soy is healthy, but says that having more than 4 to 5 servings per day may cause feminization. Bullshit. Unnatural Vegan is not familiar with the body of research. They have shown research that eating higher than the levels that people in Asia eat, for instance, has no feminizing effects. You know, I would like to see where she's getting that information from. Yeah, anyway, moving along here. This thing's scrolling down really quickly, really in front of me. So here we go. How much can I bench now? I've mentioned it before. I can do like 205 for like 8 reps. It's not a whole hell of a lot. I don't really try to max out. And I haven't that was my flat bench number. I haven't flat benched in a long time. In fact, actually right now I've been doing dumbbell incline benching more because of the peak activation's higher in the pecs. And I am a bodybuilder, so I'm not really going for like, you know, at the moment I'm trying to go for a little more shaping and development, size development, you know, because it is the winter months. So even though I'm cutting down, I'm trying to recomp a little bit, you could say. And you can do that on keto as well. What is my opinion on the Ramones? I don't have anything against the Ramones. I'm not a big punk fan, music fan. Neil Young, same thing. I don't have a problem with Neil Young. I actually like more of Neil Young stuff than the Ramones. But I'm not a big punk fan when it comes to the Ramones. I'm just not a big punk fan. And even Neil Young in the 80s went towards sort of that, like, I wouldn't call him punk, but he had some of those punk sensibilities, that raging against like the establishment sort of thing. Do I think Patrick Baboumian is natty? I don't think so. He's a strong man. He's competitive. And he's going against other strong men, you know, to be able to be competitive who are on drugs. I don't think he's natty. But do I hold that against the guy? No, I don't hold it against him. I would hold it against him if he went out and tried to sell supplements to people. Maybe he is, but as far as I'm aware, if he was trying to sell supplements to people, claiming that it helped him get his size and strength with that supplement, that's when I'd have a problem, because you know, strong men do take drugs. So whether he does or doesn't, I don't know, but he is I don't know if you guys have ever seen him when he was a bodybuilder, but he was pretty significantly big at a lean body weight. So there's a good chance he takes drugs, or he used to take drugs. But yeah, like Hammering Hank says, no world-class athlete is. Yeah, I would say that there's, and if there are any world-class, I had an argument on Facebook about this a while ago with this this one woman who thought that that it was sort of preposterous for me to claim that Olympic athletes are on steroids. And I thought it was preposterous for her to suggest that somebody whose livelihood, contracts, they've been training their entire life to compete in the Olympics to get gold. You don't go into the Olympics to like not win and just say, hey, I participated. You go to the Olympics with the goal of winning. If everybody else in the Olympics, and Victor Conte can confirm this, because he made designer drugs for people in the Olympics. Victor Conte can confirm that everybody in the Olympics are taking drugs. So if you are a world-class athlete, you know, you want to keep an edge. That is what you do for a living, you know, and you do what you have to do. So for these big world-class athletes, yeah, they're all on drugs. I would stretch to say they're all on drugs. Doesn't matter what sport, football, baseball, cycling, Olympics, strongman, whatever. They're all on drugs. Oh, let's see here. Do you think that a small female powerlifters that are like 5 feet but have elite lifts, i.e. 405 dead, 185 benches, are natty? And yes, I'm a little jealous they can outlift me. Let's put it this way again. Are we talking about world-class female powerlifters? Because testosterone is not on the side of women. It's just not. Men have more testosterone than women. So a lot of these women that are lifting bigger than men, they're probably juicing something. Let's put that out there. And again, it's probably their job, you know, or something that they're hoping to make their career. And yeah. What do you think about Tyson investing in Beyond Meat? Is this a good thing? I think that's great. I think that Mike Tyson, being a vegan himself, is putting his money where his mouth is, or yeah, money where his mouth is. He, you know, he's investing in something he believes in, and Beyond Meat is a good brand. I think it's a good brand. I like their products. I use their chicken strips, their vegan chicken strips on a daily basis. I like them. A great macronutrient profile, and they're trying to actually compete with meat by creating products that have all of the macro components and mineral and vitamin components of meat. So it's essentially a plant-based replica. Thoughts on non-vegan partners? I just couldn't. I have in the past, but I couldn't now. I just would find it a conflict of interest, and I can't be around the smell of cooking flesh. I just don't like the way it smells. It's nasty. So I couldn't do it. I couldn't see it in my fridge. And I wouldn't want to think that if I'm sharing an income with somebody, that any of my money is even in some offhand way going to support animal agriculture. So I would rather just, you know, if I was to be with somebody, I would want them to be, generally speaking, vegan. But on the bright side, as a guy, and for all you vegan guys listening to this, there are more vegan women than there are vegan men. So you have a lot of options available to you to meet a good vegan female partner. Now, ladies, not all hope is lost. There are some vegan single men. And furthermore, there are you can lead by example, and hopefully your partner will change. It does happen. I've done it before. So my current my girlfriend, who's my fiance, is actually she was not vegan. She wasn't vegan when we were first seeing each other, but she couldn't beat me in an argument about veganism, and she tried. So she realized, well, there's no argument against it. I'm just going to go vegan, and she did. Cold turkey. She did not take a transitionary phase. She literally, like myself, she just wasn't vegan at one time. Then she was vegan. Simple as that. Practically was pretty much overnight. So yeah. So you know how the Main Street vegan is the famous old longtime vegan Victoria Moran in New York City. She looks half her age. I don't know who Main Street vegan is, but now I'll have to look her up. Okay, Victoria Moran, I'll look that up. There are a lot of vegans that look much younger than what they are. I get told I look younger than what I am, but I've been told that since I was vegetarian. So I don't know if it's a, you know, vegan thing or what, or just my genetics and the fact that I don't expose myself to sunlight in extreme amounts, and I moisturize a lot and take care of myself, and have been doing for a while. So I don't know, but there does seem to be a large number of vegans who reverse the signs of aging. Keep in mind, vegan diets are high in antioxidants, and antioxidants like vitamin C, for instance, can help be the basis to form collagen, which can help regenerate your skin. So yeah, there's definitely some science to why that might be. Somebody's talking about somebody being an alleged rapist. I have no idea who the fuck that is. Thoughts on rest pause training? One extended set of each lift. That's great. I do rest pause. There is research to show that rest pause actually increases muscle damage, as do supersets, for instance, and that can lead to growth over time. So rest pause is definitely something you can use, but understand you can actually overuse some of these extended beyond failure techniques and tax your CNS beyond the point of recovery. So what I would recommend you do, and what I do with my own clients, is the time frame in which I do these intensity type techniques. So for instance, I might have someone do intensity techniques for 6 to 8 weeks and then take like a month off and then come back to them again later, or 4 weeks, then 4 weeks off, 4 weeks on, 4 weeks off, and then, you know, and cycle them like that. That's the way I use intensity techniques. But rest pause is awesome. It does definitely work, and it allows you to get more reps with a heavier weight, because, you know, you might be using like your 5 rep max, but because of all the rest pause sets, you're technically getting like 15 reps. You know, rest pause is actually the basis in programs like dog crap, for instance, the DC training style that was developed by Dante Trudell, who runs True Nutrition. And yeah, I mean, so it's a valid technique, you know, and it's got some science to support it as well. Somebody says they dropped the Patrick Baboumian thing. I don't even know what they're talking about. Somebody said Patrick Baboumian's wait, are you hammering Hank? Are you suggesting Patrick Baboumian is a rapist or an alleged rapist? I've never heard that. Don't pass false things around by people like that. They could fuck up their life. Do I have celiac disease? No, I don't. I just have a sensitivity to gluten. If I was celiac, I'd probably be living on a toilet for about 2 weeks after having gluten, even a little bit of gluten. I do get stomach knots a bit. Like I feel like my stomach is in knots when I eat gluten. Do you need to think about getting enough of each amino acid, or do you just focus on reaching a positive nitrogen balance? The latter. I just make sure I get enough protein as a vegan for my needs, and that's all I worry about. I don't worry about, like, you know, I eat a lot of tofu, and tofu has a fuckload of like leucine in it, you know, for instance. So, you know, and that's a really important amino for building muscle, BCAA. So like I get enough, you know, tofu, and that's high in the BCAAs. So I don't really worry myself over too much. I really focus on just getting enough protein per day. Cory, what are my macros like? Well, currently, like I said, I'm keto, so about 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein, under 30 grams of carbohydrates per day, not counting fiber, and 55% of my calories, which are 2,100, are coming from fat. What do you think of strength training for endurance sports, more specifically for cycling? You can cross-train. You can cross-train for martial arts as well. Just, you know, be wary of, like, how it's affecting your primary sport. So if your primary sport is cycling or fighting or whatever, don't let yourself get so big that you're not able to function your primary sport as optimally as you would. Let's see here. Thoughts on probiotics? What makes a good one? Are they worth the investment? Are they just bullshit? There's been research to show that you don't really need probiotics, but I personally, unless a doctor tells you should take them, I do take them after my carb feeds because I feel like that it helps my body adjust to the fucking onslaught that I put it through the day before, and gives it a little helping hand in digesting all the stuff that I've eaten. But otherwise, I don't take probiotics. I do use digestive enzymes. If I'm having a high protein meal, I will take some digestive enzymes because there is some research, it's not exactly, you know, a great body of it, that shows that digestive enzymes specifically for protein can enhance protein absorption rate. So you might get, you know, a better protein absorption rate than you normally would, and that might help with muscle growth. So let's see here. Yeah, sauerkraut is good for gut health as well. It is. Somebody says, I fucking love Rorschach, except for him killing those dogs. Yeah, I didn't like that, but the way he treats the criminals, oh man, Rorschach is brutal. What natural bodybuilder has an achievable physique after years of training? I've always looked at guys like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Scott Atkins, the actors. Now, they're not bodybuilders, but they're martial arts action stars. To give you some examples, Eric Helms is a natural bodybuilder. These are all guys that have been doing it for a while that have bodies that you could obtain naturally. Now, granted, Van Damme was on a lot of drugs in the late 90s, like heroin and coke and shit. So it's conceivable that he wouldn't mind putting steroids in his body when he does things like that. But his physique, as it was in the 80s and the 90s, wasn't something that you would need steroids to obtain if you like that blood sport kickboxer kind of look. And the same with Scott Atkins as Boyka. It doesn't stand out to me as being a drug-required physique. So doesn't mean they didn't use drugs to get there. I'm just saying that with years of proper training, you probably wouldn't need drugs to get there, your genetics allowing. And Eric Helms is a natty. He did try a cycle of Superdrol once, but otherwise he's been natty since. He just did one cycle, and that's like a drop in the bucket. It's pretty much not. That's like a drop of water in an ocean. So I'm gonna have to cut out this point because my computer's going down. And it's been over an hour. But like I said, you guys, I do these every Sunday, these Q&As. I really enjoy it. I'm glad you guys are participating and getting something out of it. So stay on board. Don't forget to subscribe. every Sunday. If you haven't subscribed already, every Sunday, probably between 2 and 3 p.m., I'll kick off. If you guys want to donate to my channel, I have a Patreon link down below. I know that Vegan Gains and guys like that charge on Patreon $2 a month to do Q&As, to get access to them. I do these for free. If you'd like to contribute a little something, even $1 a month, there's a link down below for Patreon if you'd like to. There's also a link to my Vegan Muscle Academy if you're interested in working with me and getting the physique you desire. And I got an ebook coming out soon too, hopefully soon, soon-ish. I'm in the stages of putting it all together right now for arm training based on science. It's going to be the best, the only, I will actually say the only book you would ever need to perfect your arms. And that is amongst a sea of shitty books that are out there, and some that might not be shitty, but you know what, this will be the fucking scientific book. But other than that, yeah, I'll see you guys next week. There'll be another video coming up next week as well. Then next week for the next Q&A on next Sunday. I'll see you guys around. Take care.